already the whole year I'm waiting to reviewing this car.
And this is him, the brand new Audi A6 from the 9th generation.
You can say a lot about the new Audi A6, but not that he copies something from his predecessor.
And when you take a closer look at him, you realize immediately this car has no similarity anymore to his predecessor. I mean, what a difference! A complete different car. And also the side view, a completely different design language. Same story in the back. It is a big gap between this and the new one. Exactly. Doesn't matter from which point of view you take a look on it, there is a big design gap between this and the older A6. But we have a problem, because from my point of view, there's a big confuse between this car and the brand new Audi A5, which is his smaller brother. So if you have the pleasure to take a look on our review that was some months ago about the brand new Audi A5 Avant, then you will realize, like me, there are some big similarities in the front. Okay, let's start with the bonnet. So in my eyes, this bonnet looks pretty one-on-one, like that one from the A5. Yes, the size is different, but the design language is the same, okay? But then I start to search some differences between this car and the A5, and I find them. And those are these points where I find out for myself, this is the best way to find which one is the A5 and which one is the A6 at the first view. So let's start with the headlights. So the inlet is different. It's a completely different design language from the interior, how the inside of the headlight unit looks like. So here by the A6 we have some silver inlet, which is completely different by the A5. The shape again is similar until this part here. So this part by the A6, it is sharper, and when you compare it to this one of the A5, it goes here. In this case, it goes here down. It's like cotton, okay? But the biggest difference is the single frame, because if you have both cars, like we have it here, and then in the last review of the A5 with the S-Line package, then you realize the single frame of the A5 stops here. And the single frame of the A6 goes until the bottom, completely down until the end of the front bumper. So this is a big indicator to let you know this is the A6. Then, otherwise, when you take a look on the side with these air curtains, there is it again, this big confusion, because it looks pretty the same way like this one from the A5. Yeah, here you have this element which the A5 doesn't have, but at the first view you didn't see it, okay? And in case of these air curtains on the side, like I talked last time on the A5 review, this is a design element that I really like on the front view of this car and the A5, because it gives you somehow the feeling the car looks wider. And in the case of the A6, it is not wider. Compared to this predecessor, it is slimmer than its predecessor. But because you have those design elements, when you take a look on the front, you could bet your money that this car is wider than its predecessor. And this shows again how important it is to have a good designer that plays around with the focus of the person who take a look on it. And all in all, if you take a look on this front and you compare it to the predecessor, it's a completely different story. Compared to the A5 in the first view, yes, there are some confusion. But if you find your 2 or 3 spots, like the headlights and the single frame, where you know I can take a look on it and then I can decide for myself which is the A5 and which is the A6, at the end there's not a big problem. So let's put that together. So all in all, I really love the front design of the brand new Audis. Doesn't matter if it's A6, A5 or Audi Q5. It's the same design language, but especially in case of the A6, they manage it so well, so in my eyes, they manage it so well to bring the elegance with the sportiness together. And depends on which color you have this car. For example, like here in black with the Shadowline package, the whole car looks so mean when you take a look on it in the front. You have the option to play around with the colors and also with some design elements like this one, the air curtains, you can have them in silver, and then the whole car looks more elegant, you know, so you can play with this mean and elegant part however you prefer it. So in my case, I think this is one of the most beauteous front designs of 2025. And so when we come to the back view, I need to say the back view of this car is really standalone, okay? The first thought that runs through my head when I take a look on the back of this car, it looks so serious and so premium. I don't know why, but it looks so premium to me, okay? And there's absolute no confusion that you can think from the back view, oh, this is the A5. No, this is clearly the brand new A6. The whole design language, so when we start with the headlight units and the whole way how they looks like, it is so standalone, okay? And also this design elements with the braking lights also standalone. No other Audi has it like this one, okay? The rear bumper has a small similarity to the A5, but you realize it is much wider and bigger. And my personal highlight and the whole back view and the whole back design are those wide wheel arches. It looks like an S6 or an RS6, but this one is a regular one, A6 Quattro, a pretty simple car. But those wide wheel arches gave him such a mightiness. If you take a look from the back on the car, it gives him some kind also a mighty premium feeling to me. So when I take a look at it, and I really love it, the way how the back looks like is wonderful. Yes, he's less wider than his predecessor, but sidewise he's 6 centimeters longer than the predecessor. The wheelbase is pretty the same, but those 6 centimeters are a big benefit for the interior space. Okay, let's talk also shortly about the sides design, and I want to really keep it short. Okay, if you take a look on our review from the A5, then you will realize, so from the front to the back until here, it is pretty the same design language like that one from the A5 Avant. But here at the end, from here away until the end, it is standalone. So everybody who has an eye for car design realize immediately when you take a look on this part here, okay, this is the A6, the brand new A6 Avant. And what I need to say about this design element in the back, the design language, is so the connoisseurs on the you guys will recognize there are some Porsche design language in the whole back of this car. It reminds me strongly to the Panamera Sport Turismo, okay? But it is not a copy of this car. It is a really well come together from Porsche and Audi design. And I need to say it looks beautiful.
Don't worry, you see it right. Yes, this is not the new A6. This is his predecessor, the old A6. To be more precisely, the C8 model. So, and when you ask yourself why I'm driving by the car review of the new A6, the old model, then the reason is that because, you know, as a car reviewer, there's no bigger opportunity to have the option to drive the predecessor about that car that you do in a car review. Because when you have the option to drive the predecessor and then quickly jump in the new car, it is the best way to really realize the changes in everything, all the changes that happens in case of the driving experience and also in case of the whole feeling in the interior about the atmosphere and the ambience. And so in case of the older model, the C8 A6, it still feels very up to date. I mean, this car is already 7 years old. It was released in 2018 and you could buy it by Audi until of the beginning of 2025. And doesn't matter, the car is already that much old. So when you drive it these days, it still feels very up to date. You still have all those displays, and also the interior design is very modern. The way how this car drives, the driving experience is also very up to date. You wouldn't realize it is an old car, and that shows the quality of the C8 A6. I mean, that shows the quality in general of the Audi A6, because there are somehow timeless cars, you know. So I have many times the opportunity to drive the C8 A6 and have it for some days and also for some holidays, and I always was happy about driving this car. I was never a big fan of the way how this car looks like from the exterior, only by the RS6. This is really a car that I fell in love anytime when I see it on the street. The RS6 C8 is one of the most beautiful car out there in my eyes. Most beautiful station wagons out there. But in case of the normal one, I mean, this one is with the S-Line. It looks a little bit more sportier, but it was never a car that makes me say wow. But the interior of this car, yes. Anytime when I sit in, it reminds me how well it feels. And it is a car that is really fun to drive in case of when you drive long distance or you use it daily, because you have so much comfort. So much comfort, the ride comfort, the comfort in the interior, the seat comfort. Everything feels so right. The materials feel so well made, even after all these years. It feels on point, okay? And I mean, that's really the quality of this car. What is not so my favorite in case of this car, and I mean also in case of all the older A6 and A4 models, I mean, they are famous for when you drive it a little bit sportier. So when you drive those cars sportier, they are famous for their understeering character. And so also in case of the C8, it is a car that drives great until you decide to drive it a little bit sportier. Then you realize pretty fast that you have an issue with the understeering, okay? It feels somehow like the car slithers over the front axle. It doesn't feel agile at all, like for example his competitors, like for example the BMW 5 Series, okay? But I mean, the classic client from an Audi A6 is not somebody who want to drive it sporty. It is somebody that want to have space, especially in case of the Avant. They want to have space in this car, space in the interior, and a lot of driving comfort. And this is what you get when you buy an Audi A6 C8. This is what you get: a good looking car from the exterior, a great looking car from the interior, a wonderful feeling car when we're talking about driving comfort. And I think that's the most important thing about this car. So I'm really curious when I now jump from the old A6 to the new one, if I will realize a big gap between those ride quality of both cars, if something has changed or not, especially in the interior, because the interior of the brand new C9 model is complete a different story. And I mean, this one is up to date. I mean, take a look on it. A lot of displays, practically no buttons. Everything is digitalized in the interior, so it is really a modern, it's still some modern interior. But when you take a look to the newer model, the C9, it's a different world. The other one is again one level up. If we're talking about the future, it looks more futuristic. But I'm to be honest, I'm a little bit more curious about the driving quality, because I mean, this is the most important thing for me in case of an Audi A6. So let's find it out. If you take a look to the internet on platforms like, for example, Autoscout, then you realize that you can buy the old A6 with a lot of equipment and few kilometers for already the half price of the brand new Audi A6. And that makes him really to a hot tip. So as you see, we changed our cockpit. We jumped from the old one to the new one. And the first thing I realized, doesn't matter how hard I try to focus on the driving feeling of this car, the chassis and the way how it feels, I'm pretty disturbed by the interior, okay, by the way how the interior looks like to me, you know. Let me explain, okay. So I try to listen to my butt sensor, how this car feels now. Is it more sporty? Is it more comfortable than the predecessor? And because all of this interior, because it's so modern, so different to the predecessor, and it's trying to somehow to trick me and say to me, this car feels completely different, my friend, okay? This is what this interior trying to say to you all the time, because of the seats, because of the steering wheel, and because of how it looks like. But if you're really trying to focus hard only on the driving experience, then you realize, in my case, it feels pretty the same way like its predecessor. Only with one difference. This suspension here and the whole chassis feels a little bit more sportier than this one from the predecessor, which is good, which I like, okay? It's still a comfortable long distance car, Avant, station wagon, but with a little bit more sportiness in its soul, okay? And this is because the engineers take care, like also by the Audi A5, in case of the Audi A5, they take care about the suspension and about the steering, okay? They change some settings, they change some different type of the way how the steering is mounted to the chassis, and all that together gives you the sportier feeling when you drive this car. Also here around town you feel that it is sportier, okay? Less softer than the predecessor, but it's still very comfortable, and that's what I like. So the big benefit comes to you when you drive it a little bit faster to the corners. Then you realize the old problem that Audi always has with his previous cars, doesn't matter A5, A4 or A6, was always that as soon as you start to drive a little bit sportier with those cars, they try to understeer, okay? It gives you always that feeling that those cars always slithers over the front axle. And in case of the new Audi A6, it is the opposite way. So now this car feels more closer to it has somehow the same spirit like BMW. Let's say it like this, okay? It feels like a BMW station wagon. That's what we need to say about it. And this is something that I really like about the whole behavior of the new Audi A6. Comfort-wise, it is pretty the same way. It feels now much closer to me to the A5 Avant, which we also reviewed some months ago. It feels pretty the same way like an Audi A5 Avant, just a little bit bigger. Simple as that, which is not wrong. But what I miss in this case is a little bit the more standalone character from this Audi A6. I would like more to fill out, yeah, it feels a lot more different than the Audi A5 Avant, which is not. It feels just like a bigger Audi A5 Avant. Let's say it like this. But I mean, okay, it is like it is. By the most newer cars, the character is no more the premium task. It is more the drivability, the practicability, and of course all those things with newer engines and hybrid systems and whatever comes together with the new law. And all in all, I need to say, in case of this car, the diesel, we have it here with the mild hybrid plus system. It is a system that works great with this diesel combustion engine.
And for those who can't quite imagine it, here's a video. At the back is a water-cooled 48-volt battery. And for those who are now wondering, oh no, do I have to plug it in somewhere and charge it? No, of course not. The battery is charged to a recuperation, what means braking or coasting. There's a proposed generator on the gearbox itself, a kind of a small electric motor, which use interlocked gears to turn an intermediate gear, which in turn is attached to the gearbox. And if you now ask yourself, okay, what's the point of all of this? What can I do with it?
I mean, the diesel was always a torquier engine compared to the petrol engine, but now even more, because the mild hybrid system plus that we have here also works some kind, not just like a drivetrain supporter. It also busts the car. So when you need boost, it helps you. It gives more power and more RPM to the car in those situations where you need it, when you accelerate or when you want to start fast immediately from the red light when it's green. Of course, when it's turning green and you want to start immediately through, you want to accelerate, it helps the car because it gives more power, more torque, and this all comes as a benefit to the car. And also the other thing is it helps also to get the fuel economy more down. It's better, the car use less diesel 100 kilometers, and this is also a big benefit. And what I also like in case of this mild hybrid plus system is that, I mean, let's be honest, the noisiness, the sound color of a diesel engine was never nice, okay? But now in this whole game comes this drivetrain support from the mild hybrid plus, and this has a nice noise. Somehow when it recuperates, when you go away from the gas, it sounds very futuristic to this car, and it gives him somehow this premium high-tech soul, which is really not wrong in case of this car.
Let's come to the interior. And in case of the brand new Audi A6, it is a brand new interior. But for me, it is a good known old friend. Why? Because I already knew it from the A5. It is one-on-one the same interior to 99%, okay? So if you close my eyes and you put me in the A5 or the A6 and I need to tell you which interior it is, A5 or A6, I think I would fail, okay? It feels maybe a little bit more wider here in this section, but I'm not sure. It is pretty one-on-one, same materials, same design, same steering wheel, same display, same middle part, same everything, okay? And I think that's a little bit sad because Audi doesn't manage it to give to this interior from the A6 some standalone features or standalone design elements, which is good for the A5 driver because he pay a lot less money and has the same interior, but bad for the A6 driver that pays more money and has the same interior like the cheaper A5, just a little bit more space. Okay, other hand, compared to the predecessor A6, it is a completely different interior. Why? Because it's much more futuristic, much more modern, more digitalized. I have now this curved panoramic display in front of me. And the major part, the major thing you realize when you sit from the old to the new one is this cockpit feels much more created around you than the old one. And in case of this, it feels much more sportier. Now, you have the feeling you're sitting in a futuristic fighter jet or something like this, something from Star Wars, really, that's how it feels like. It feels more like this new interior put his hands around you, okay? It's less open, it's less lounge-like the predecessor. The predecessor interior was more open, it feels more wider, it feels more light float, it feels more like a lounge, okay? So the question is, what do you prefer more? Me, I personally prefer more this kind of interior because it gives me some driver focused vibes, okay? If you are a person that likes more the open interior, I think you will be not happy here. The whole interior is also everywhere with new materials, new design elements. Take a look at the middle part. It is the same one like the A5, I already say it. What I like here is that we still have in the middle part a gear knob. It's no more a classic gear knob, it's some kind of shift knob. So a shift plate, let's call it like this. But if you take a look to his brothers, Skoda, Volkswagen, which already have the shift knob here, back on the back side of the steering wheel, I prefer more this one. And this gives some standalone vibes to Audi, okay? You have here the start button, and what is also weird, now the parking button is in the same time the handbrake button. So when you activate the parking button, you activate also the handbrake. And it feels weird because we don't know that from other cars. But I think after some time, you will get familiar with it. You have everywhere those touch sensitive buttons, and I'm really not a big fan of that. Especially here by the steering wheel, because anytime when I drive a little bit sportier, I always get in touch with some buttons, okay? Voice command or changing the music tracks, and this always happens, minimum twice a day, and that's what I don't like. And the same story on the left side, here by the door, you have also a panel. I mean, everybody knows this panel for change the positions of the mirrors, lock and unlock the door, open the window and close the windows. But what is special now, we have now here also the light switch buttons, which are since decades here by our car manufacturers. We have it here, but in case of the new A5 and A6, they are, and also Q5, they are all here in this panel, which is normally for setting position of the mirrors, open and close the doors, and open and close the windows. And it's same story here. Anytime you get in touch that you don't want to get in touch, you want to do something, you want to rest your arm here, and then you activate the lights. And yeah, this is all of this, all because of these touch sensitive buttons, which I'm really not a big fan of it. Let's talk about the materials. So in case of the S-Line package, we have here textile, and this is, it has its charm because it feels so nice. I already know it from the A5 also, and it doesn't get boring to me. I'm not sure if I would sit every time in this interior, and then maybe after some years it will start to get boring, but it feels so fresh, because normally this part by all cars are always hard materials, like for example this here. But here we have textile, and it has some charm. It has really some charm. I like it. But you can set it to your own taste. What we doesn't have in the interior is the package plus, the Tech Plus package, let's say it right, which can also have here for the passenger separated display. So this car doesn't have it. It costs a lot of money. But I already see it by the Q5. And to be honest, for you as driver, it doesn't have any benefits. It is just activated when somebody sits here, right side of you, then it is activated, and then this person can use it. But for you as driver, it is absolutely uninteresting, okay? So all in all, a very futuristic interior, which unfortunately compared to the A5 doesn't have some standalone features. But it is like it is. Let's take a look to the back seats. So let's take a look how it looks like in the back. And I mean, let's be honest, that's the reason why you buy an A6, this and the big trunk behind of you. I mean, you sit here in the back, perfect. A lot of space. Me with 181, okay, I will sit now in the front more back with the seats that I would normally sit, but I mean, take a look. I still have a lot of space. What a back seat. You really have a lot of space everywhere. Head space in front of you, left and right of you. The seats feel comfortable, but it is also like in the front, it is A5 style. It is really A5 style. The only thing, the air vents here, which are on the level from your head. This is the only difference, and a little bit, this middle part looks a little bit different, but the rest, even the armrest is the same one like in the A5, and also these cup holders which are open and look so, that looks cheap. I mean, why they don't put it here, that you can pop it out and put it, the cup holders, you have it here in this case, and this is then full clean. You can really enjoy to put your arm here in the middle. So now this way it is uncomfortable because it's hard, there are holes, and you cannot really enjoy it. Sad. But all in all, a great place to be. Also here in the middle part, me with 181, I have a lot of space. I can really sit in the middle part and enjoy the drive with two other persons here. So it is not the same place like this one or this one, but it still feels comfy to me, okay? Also here in the middle part, a lot of space between the roof and my head. Yeah, it is a great place to be. It is really the reason why somebody decided to buy this car, to have space for his family. What a great place.
So we changed the A6. We jumped from one that we already drove to this one, which is exactly the same car, only with the difference that this one has the brand new smart panoramic roof, which calls by Audi the smart panoramic roof, where you can switch between the transparency of the panoramic roof. I mean, I will show it to you. It looks really special. So you can, for example, as you see, switch between different kind of transparency. Then you can fully deactivate the transparency. Now it's some kind like milk glass, and then you can also open it up, which was by the earlier models some kind of jalousine that drives from the back to the front and completely darken up the interior. In this case, it's that transparency that you set, so you're playing around with the transparency of this smart panoramic roof, and I really like it because you can do it in each single way, however you prefer, however you like. And what I really love about this is this one. You can really change the way how it should looks like stripes. So in this case we have some stripes that we can move it around, and then it's still some kind of pershipple transparent panoramic roof. It really makes a lot of fun to play around with that. And really when you completely darken it up, so right now it's a sunny day, we have a hot sunny day, and when it's fully darkened up, I doesn't feel nothing on my head. And I have a sensitive head because it doesn't have any hairs anymore on my head, and you really feel as immediately when you open up the transparency, you feel how the sun is burning on your head, and when you then again close it, nothing. But it's still the benefit of this smart panoramic roof is that doesn't matter that you took completely the transparency away like we have it now, it still comes light inside in the interior, and it makes this whole interior now more friendly. Okay, it is one-on-one the same interior like the other car that we driven before, where we was on the highway, and that we take a look from the inside, only with the difference of the panoramic roof. And I think for myself, if I will go for an A6, I will choose that one with the smart panoramic roof, because it is a real big benefit, this panoramic roof. Doesn't matter how you choose it, how you want to use it, fully transparent or pershipple transparent, it is a big benefit. Great. And because this car compares to its predecessor feels much more agile and much more sportier, the whole DNA feels much sportier to you than compared to the predecessor. It automatically pushes you to try to move it a little bit faster and more sportier than regular wise, and you immediately realize this big benefit of the new suspension and of the new steering. I mean, in general, the big benefit of this new sportier DNA, which the Audi A6 and also the A5 becomes from the engineers. Okay, I already told it by the A5 video. Now the A5 is more a competitor to the BMW 3 Series because it feels pretty the same way agile in the corners like the BMW, and that was something that all predecessors, doesn't matter A6 or A5, doesn't have it. Okay, but by this newer generation it is a part of this DNA. And how big this part it is of this DNA, you realize really if you know the older A6 or one of the older A6, but especially really the predecessor, the 8th generation of the A6. This is the 9th, and the other one the 8th generation. So if you know this generation, the 8th generation, and maybe you already driven it or you have one at home, and then you jump in this car and this 9th generation of the A6, I think this is the first thing that you realize when you start to driving, how much more agile and how much more curves hungrier this car feels to you as a driver, especially when you drive it a little bit faster. So I mean, so after the first few meters you realize, okay, it is harder. The whole suspension is harder, and also the steering wheel feedback is more direct. Okay, and that's really what I like, because it gives you some kind of idea how the condition on the tarmac are, you know. And in case of this, you can make good decisions how to drive it a little bit faster or easier or careful. And it is really, it's a great feeling on the steering wheel. I mean, in general, a great feeling to be in this car and to move it a little bit faster than normal. It is really nearly to the A5. As I already said, it feels like a bigger A5. Simple as that. And same story also when I move it a little bit faster. It still feels sporty, also like the A5, but just like a bigger A5. But all in all, it is a big benefit, that DNA that they put into this car, really. So, but let's go to the major part of an Audi A6, and this is his home, the highway. Because I would say the most Audi A6s living the most time on the highway, okay? Because this is a classic highway car, and this is really where this car is strong, compares also to his predecessors. So, and when you accelerate now here on the entering of the highway, you realize how sovereign this car feels. This 2-liter turbo diesel engine in combination with this drivetrain generator has absolutely no problem to accelerate this car, even it is so big, okay? But the biggest and the most important thing is how it feels on the highway, so when you drive a little bit faster. So in case of the brand new Audi A6, I realized immediately now I have a really big gap from the way how it feels compared to this predecessor. But it feels now once more stable, once more sovereign on the highway. It feels very quiet, very comfortable, But the highway that we're driving here has a lot of rumbles on the street, so where it's normally uncomfortable to drive with a car, but in case of this car you feel practically nothing. No noisiness from the outside, no noisiness from the inside. It feels like you fly over the tarmac. And I mean, this is one of those strong things about an Audi A6. The space that it has and the comfort and the luxury that it gives to you as a driver when you're driving really long distance drives over the highway. It is impressive. It is like all the other A6s when they go from one to the other model, also same story here, one step more forward in the way of how it feels on the highway. Wow, I'm really impressed. And now it feels more to you like it is now a bigger gap. When you was driving it on the around town or on the normal street, it was too close from the feeling to the older model, to the predecessor. But now on the highway, you realize really the big gap of this driving experience. Now you realize the big change that happens here in case of chassis, steering, and suspension. And yeah, this is really something different compared to the predecessor.
Okay, and now let's come to the cherry on the top. And this is, in case of an Audi A6, of course, the trunk. Okay, so if we compare the trunk volume of the brand new A6 to the predecessor, then it is drums smaller. Yeah, you heard it right. It is smaller. It is not bigger. It is exactly 62 liters smaller in the normal setting. And then if you have it like we have it here with the mild hybrid plus system, it is 99 liters smaller, so it means even smaller. But when you fold the seats down, then it is, yeah, also smaller. 146 liters smaller than the predecessor. So doesn't matter how you turn it, it is smaller everywhere in every condition compared to the predecessor. But this is not bad. Because of this, now the interior is bigger, which means all the people who sit in the interior, doesn't matter where, have more space. And I think that's the right decision, because I mean, doesn't matter, take a look on it. It's still a goddamn big trunk. What do you want more from an Avant? I mean, if this is not enough for you, I don't know, man. Then you need something like a big truck, okay? So Audi, that was good, thumb up, that was the right decision. Smaller a little bit the trunk, because it's still a big trunk, even then. And then the passengers, the driver, and everybody have a lot more space. And this is what I want to have from an Audi.
The brand new Audi A6 from the 9th generation comes at the start with 3 engines. 2 petrol engines, which one of them is the 2.0 TFSI, 204 horsepower and front-wheel driven without any hybrid support. The other one is the more powerful 3.0 TFSI with 367 horsepower and mild hybrid plus support, which also comes with the Quattro all-wheel drive. The third engine is a diesel engine, but not any diesel engine. It is the legendary 2.0 TDI diesel engine with 204 horsepower and mild hybrid plus system. You can order him as a front-driven car or with the Quattro 4x4 system. Later then, there should be also 2 plug-in hybrid systems available, both systems with the 2.0 TFSI engine and both systems with an electric range from about 100 kilometers. The weaker one with 299 horsepower and the stronger one with 367 horsepower.